We'll start rolling. We can always clip in and figure out when to start it.
Sure.
But I am curious about, I almost would like to debate sin.
It's about as philosophical as you get.
You know, how it's, I think you know how to say it. You know, unfiltered, philosophical, political, spiritual stuff. Sin.
It's a big word.
How about sin and guilt?
How did you define it? You said that was the translation of the Latin?
Missing the mark.
Missing the mark. The mark.
To sin is to miss the mark. What is the mark? Is your target.
Okay. I feel like that implies then that sin has to be a conscious decision. Is that something you'd say then? Because if I'm aiming at a target and I miss, it's pretty hard to do that if I wasn't even trying to shoot in the first place. Like, can you accidentally sin?
Yes, because you could accidentally miss your target, right? You go for the bullseye always.
Hopefully.
How often do you hit it?
You go for the bullseye always? That's a big statement.
How often? But, okay. So, getting more literal in my own, like, if we're talking about missing the mark, I miss the mark constantly.
Okay.
Every day.
Yeah.
Not like, for example, this is the first time I'm recording a podcast. It's been something I've wanted to pursue for 4 years plus.
Yeah, I remember talking about this for a
So
while.
for me, that is sinning. I'm not following like my truest spirit into what I want to do.
Yes.
There's so many nights where I'm sitting on that couch, lighting up a bowl, knowing that I need to be doing, like, in my heart, I want to be putting out more of a authentic expression, like something with more charge to it than just slipping into like that comfortable liminal state that allows me to be comfortable and allows me to do the things that I know, like not consciously stepping outside of the comfort zone.
I liked
sin there.
Charge to it. I think that was powerful. What creates charge? When you're saying you want to do something with some charge to it, like what is it about that activity that makes some sort of electrical field, that makes some sort of energy, that makes some sort of emotion to it, you know?
I think that question in itself, like, holds the answer in it, even though it's not the answer. It's like, what is giving me the charge? Like, what is this thing that I'm obsessed with? Why am I obsessed with thinking about transgenderism or or vaccines or 5-MeO-DMT? Like, all these things on this list, why do these circle in my brain, like, throughout a day?
They do.
We've heard, we'll talk about that, but we've heard, like, you have 60, 70,000 thoughts a day.
Ooh.
Those thoughts are filled up with substance.
Hopefully. I feel like every thought has an action potential. So, like, how much energy you allow that thought to transfer from your mind to your body and put it into action.
Right.
Is how much power that thought has. So, yeah, we do have ridiculous amounts of thoughts, but it is the ones that we cultivate that I feel like will, like, repeat or will continue coming up. Maybe continue nagging at you, wanting your attention.
And then how many are implanted?
Ooh.
If we think about algorithms and, like,
depends on where you are
in the world, in your mind, and yes. And all right, I like our flow right now, and I got so much I want to talk about.
I was asking you about charge to bring it back to sin, actually. I was going to ask you what you think the charge of sin is.
Oh, the charge of sin is one of separation.
Yes. Okay. Hell yeah.
So
it's different.
Right? Because love your neighbor as yourself. Or even bless those who persecute you. It's like...
That only works if you do the first one, though. I've had this debate a couple times. It's pretty
Say
tough.
that again.
So what you're quoting is love your neighbor as you love yourself, is Jesus responding to what is the most important commandment out of God's commandments. And he starts with love your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength for all of your days. I.e., love your neighbor as yourself. I feel like trying to say that these two come together, that you're only able to love your neighbor as yourself once you recognize that yourself is a part of God and must be treated with that level of respect. You know, I feel like we're willing to disrespect each other, especially through sin, because we don't think we're worth anymore anyway. We think we're already destroyed creatures. We don't associate ourselves with God. We don't associate ourselves with love. We don't associate ourselves with these higher feelings of the universe, even if we know they're there. And that kind of gives us an excuse, an outlet to just do whatever we want and not love your neighbor as yourself, because we're all just in a rat race.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And the
separation.
Rat race on that, talking about separation, talking about the rat race. I think an important question is, do you want to be caught in a mode of stress? Do you want to bring forth stress into your daily life and production? What is your intention when you head into your day and you start moving through it? Is it one of, I'm trying to make myself look better? You know, because I feel like that is something that I do, is like, I am trying to prove myself to my family, to society at whole. Part of me wants power. Like, I want power in my own local life to be able to change things how I see them fit. Is that sinning? Like, is that lust? Is that lust for power? Is it sin? Or because sometimes it does feel good if I can influence a situation more, especially if it's in the direction of love.
Yeah.
Does love require power?
Does love require power? I think love, at the end of the day, is the ability to relinquish complete power. Is to feel the absolute expansiveness of power and be willing to trust someone else with it. I think that's love. Which is crazy. Like, the more you give yourself to someone, the more you realize, wow, I'm truly releasing control of my life. I'm truly releasing my needs for something greater than I, something that I dare to call love. But love is powerful. I think that's indistinguishable. Like, if you're going to give reverence and respect to something, it's got to have some power within itself, and is like the ultimate creative power. If we're trying to build our families off of something called love, then we want to create more and more out of that, so that it must be powerful. But it is hard, because I do think there is this strange line between wanting power in our own life, which we do, I think, need to have control over our settings, have control over our workspace, have control over who we have around us, what kind of events we take part of. But at the same time, it is this strange line between power and pride, of being like, I think I know the best way right now. And maybe you do, but maybe you don't. It's hard to know.
I gotta also bring up, when I'm feeling disempowered, if I'm feeling too vulnerable, too weak sometimes, and I'm not bringing my ego into my life at all, sometimes that wrecks me.
In what field? Where does that wreck?
Emotionally.
Emotionally wrecks.
My heart breaks so hard it's hard to navigate through my day-to-day. I almost give to the point where it's if I have no dude, you're killing it. Like, you're like, keep going. If I have none of that, like,
it's good to have a frame of reference from where you came from to where you're going. Being able to look at your past self and see growth is very empowering for sure. When you lose your ego, it's hard to do that because there is no past.
there's no past without an ego. Your ego, right, your ego is like your memories and like the things that have shaped your identity. And we wear these identities like clothes, right? There's utility for them.
You can put on different ones if you want.
And you can put on different ones, different styles of
Different styles of ego, man.
You know, you can act like a country boy, you can act like a ski bum, and that'll get you into different pockets of the universe. Or you can act like a finance bro, that'll get you into different pockets of the universe. You know, and these are all, it's all ego. Anything, it's like the Tao, that which knows the Tao does not speak of it. It's like, the words will never be able to communicate the thing beneath all of the layers.
Words are fun though. I
Super
think
fun.
Trying to get literal with them can be really hard, and that's what I've been really trying to explore recently, especially when reading any sort of spiritual text, but primarily the Bible, of like trying to inference / decode where the line between metaphor and story and history is.
Right.
And how much it matters. Like how much that is what we should be looking for / is it really just the metaphor at the end of the day that matters? Is it really just the lesson, the story, what you're trying to get across? But I thought about that because whenever you said the Tao just knows about the Tao, does not speak of it, it reminds me when like Alan Watts was talking about how Alice in Wonderland is an attribute to the Tao / like the unspeakable Zen, or just that which we have no words, because it's absurd. And I love that we can be absurd with our words and even absurd with our actions in a way of expressing the Tao, which is fun. We're really good at being absurd.
Right, yeah, because even though you can't speak of the Tao, you can't express it.
Yeah,
Or
you can
it's
poke it, you know?
Yeah,
You can make you laugh a little bit. Wait a minute.
that cosmic giggle. It's like, yes. Keep looking at my sheet here. There's so much we could talk about. This kind of gets me thinking of like synchronicity and like quantum physics entanglement. Quantum entanglement when you're thinking about someone and then all of a sudden they text you.
It's pretty awesome.
That kind of mirror effect that the universe has, that you know, it's like life is, it's that cosmic giggle. It's life is communicating something back to you. It's something that feels almost beyond your awareness. And you're contacting this place of almost timelessness, or like this ineffable space that's like at the edge of your awareness.
Timeless. I like that. I feel like it's so interesting to us because it's not something you work for. For some reason, that's what came to my mind when you said timeless. Like coincidence / synchronicities. It's not something you can design. It's not something you can build up towards. It's not something you can put your time towards creating. It's something that simply is in the moment, and you can't take it with you. You know, like you can't pack it up in a bag somewhere and keep it, which I think is so beautiful and frustrating about synchronicities. I feel like there's so many, like a countless amount that have happened in my life that I can't necessarily just go to or remember, but you can feel the power of them in the moment. It does like take you out of time. It's just so awesome. It's just like, wow, is there something a little bigger than me around here?
Yeah, it feels like a field that you're contacting for a moment, and then you want to grab it. You want to be like, how can I keep this synchronicity thing going? How do I keep everything rolling? And the weirdest part about it is that you find it in the surrender. You find it in the the allowance, or like it's like when you're having open awareness is when you see these things. When you're like rushing through life trying to like force reality in, like you have a reality you want and desire and you try to move towards that. But if you can kind of like, I don't know, allow your desires to open to something bigger, or like not try to be like, oh, I need sex or I need food. All of a sudden there's like this whole
Sex,
other world.
food, power.
Mm.
There's a whole other world when you open your eyes up a little bit bigger. And I really love that you said sin is separation, because I do feel like the more serious you take your own point of view, the more likely you are to sin, as compared to opening your field of awareness to those around you and also the unknown. I think it's the most important one, of being willing to say, I don't know what exactly is going to happen today. I don't know what I could learn. I don't know who I could see, and I'm willing to meet it with open arms, instead of being stuck in your own path, in your own pursuit of power, in your own pursuit of what you think is right. That can literally block synchronicities, block energy, block people from entering your life that maybe should have or could have, if you were simply able to take a step back and allow yourself to feel small.
Yeah. It's hard to be selfless, right? And I think being selfless is actually selfish. This is something that I got from Matthew McConaughey.
It's a fun circle.
It's a fun circle, right? Because like when you're taking care of yourself, you're actually doing things that make you feel better, which isn't always what we think it is. Like I think when you think of making yourself feel good or pleasure, you think of...
What do you think of?
I think of sex and drugs, and I think of... But also, I think of sex and drugs, and then I also think of, like, eating well. I think of healthy...
My thought, was food.
I think of conversations with a friend. I think of connection with the world. I think of connecting to something beyond myself, and like that feels ecstatic to me when I can go beyond my own limitations to be a free being. Like that pursuit of becoming free is like, to me, what is very holistic, makes you feel better, and also simultaneously liberates everything around you.
You say the pursuit of getting free and liberates. What are your shackles?
My shackles are the illusion of time, the illusion of separation, the status, trying to look cool.
Okay, assistant manager.
That's it. I wear that with pride. I'm the assistant manager. Even the fact that I'm the assistant manager, I'm like, what the fuck, why am I the assistant to the manager? And it's irrelevant. It gives people maybe a frame of reference.
Yeah.
But what's important is how I bring my heart to each day.
Yeah. The title assistant manager doesn't get your job done.
No.
Doesn't teach you anything. Doesn't have to make you who you are. Some people base their identity off of their job title pretty heavy, but up to you, I guess.
And that's insecurity. Unfortunately, almost anything and is it okay to be insecure? That's natural. We all feel a sense of insecurity in one area or another. If I go out hunting right now, I know how insecure I'm going to feel to someone who's been practicing it their whole life. And
Ooh.
even though there's so much more security there, like if you're out in the wilderness, if you're able to actually like harvest your own food in the wilderness, that's the most secure a person can be. If like everything got stripped away, could we survive in the wilderness? Me, that scares me. There's insecurity there. There's insecurity in, like, if I had nothing, if I'm stranded in the wilderness, what am I going to do? And then for maybe a hunter to come in to, I don't know, answer a phone call from someone.
Could be a life-threatening situation.
Could feel life-threatening. Yeah. Both are only ego-threatening, really. If I tap into my primal being, I can probably get some stuff done. If I lose the idea of who I am, this sophisticated whatever, which is just how I've packaged it.
You say you could feel insecure from a lot of different ways. And I like your example of being out in the woods. I think that is a primal insecurity that a lot of people don't face, of like a true life or death situation, which I think translates into our community of people having the same reaction to things that are non-life threatening, to sitting in traffic, to not getting a promotion, to your kids crying after school. All of a sudden your body is sending out these same signals as if you were in the woods starving.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But it only makes sense from a survival standpoint, because that's what you're designed to do. You're designed to face discomfort. And when we spend all of our time running away from discomfort, everything kind of feels like the end of the world. But I do think there are things that it is relatively good to feel insecure about. Like maybe, like, I mean, that went through my head just a bit when you said, like, if you were next to someone who was more experienced, like, yeah, I should feel maybe some sort of feeling of insecurity that would promote me then to learn more, that would promote growth, that would promote me to ask questions, that would also maybe promote respect towards something greater than you. Because I was going through my mind of like, yeah, sometimes I feel insecure, insignificant, and small when I'm thinking about nature, when I'm thinking about God, when I'm thinking about the universe, when I'm thinking about things higher than me, but not in a way of being useless or being threatened, but in a way of almost being honored to be a part of it. You know, like I am maybe insignificant and maybe insecure as to how important I am, but I'm a part of something so large and so beautiful that I don't necessarily have to worry about it. Maybe, hopefully, it's a lot to worry about, man. Gotta learn how to kill an animal and answer a phone. Can't do both those things.
You could probably do all of them. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses, sure. Right?
Do you want to be able to do it all on your own?
No.
Really? Be hard to do mentally.
I believe in self-reliance. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
it seems like you're kind of pursuing this overall knowledge where you feel like you can, I don't want to say stand alone, but maybe stand apart.
Yeah.
From outside things trying to change your perception. So in that way, it kind of feels like a do it on your own. But ideally, yeah, not by ourselves.
Yeah. And then when I reflect a lot of the time, because I think you're right, in me there's so much of the rebel, of the one who wants to fucking go against any systematic power. That is something I get fired up about, is systems of power.
Bill Gates.
Billy Gates. Cloud seeding. You know, like these things that, you know, are disempowering to the individual. I'm trying to find power within that, right? Like I'm using the things that, it's almost like evil is necessary. to build me as a human, right?
Absolutely.
Or to build all of us as human, is there needs to be a counterforce, a sort of resistance for us to make order out of chaos.
Mm. Evil is an interesting word to call necessary. I know what you're saying, and I feel like I've thought about this as well, which is hard, like especially when you're just talking about charges. Like I do feel like there has to be a positive and a negative force. And I feel like that's pretty self-evident when you look at the universe of how things come together and how things actually work. Even in our own personal lives, there has to be this balance between things happening for you and maybe things happening against you to promote your character, to promote the growth that really matters, and even just like physical growth, even though you need that adversity. Like if gravity wasn't heavy, we couldn't really do push-ups very well, you know, like you need that balance of something to go against. But it is difficult for me sometimes thinking about topics like sin and just putting it in the category of, oh, that's like the necessary negative. Because I do feel like there's this interesting line where you can dive too deep into either one, into negative or positive. Maybe. I feel like typically it's really just the negative one that people are going to pour into.
Right, and that doesn't serve you as well as being a little more on the scale of positive is going to overall tilt that scale in the direction you want it to go.
Yeah.
But without any recognition, like I guess I've heard this quote from this guy Naval, who you maybe have heard of, but he was referencing like his friend. I don't actually know, I'm going to paraphrase here, but basically it's like someone has to be the happiest person in the world. Why not me?
Interesting.
Why can't that be something I could pursue? To be like heavy on optimism. Too heavy.
Is that the goal? To be happy? Be the happiest you can be? Even if it's not the happiest person in the world? Do you feel like that's I feel like that's a goal most people are, at least in the back of their mind, sort of chasing, of how many things can I buy, events can I go to, people can I talk to make me happy?
How can I max out my...
Can I max out my dopamine reception?
Dopamine, how about like... I don't want to max out only dopamine. Really, I'd rather max out serotonin.
Yeah.
Or oxytocin, the love. Like,
Yeah.
that feeling of love is so strong. And it does, I will say, like, I think where it's tricky is that with the connect, like, the more oxytocin that you have and that pours out of you, it's more connection to the world, and that also brings you into more sadness. Because if you're really connected, you feel more than just positivity.
True.
Can I connect to someone who is suicidal if I'm feeling happy all the time?
No. You could try. It would probably come across as fleeting or
Escapist,
yeah, of just like trying to make someone feel better in some sort of like give a kid a lollipop maybe type of feel, which most people don't really love, especially in an actual suicidal state. But yeah, you kind of need that frame of reference of being there, at least in some sort of capacity yourself, to really have compassion on someone. Yeah, which is powerful, which I feel like we can apply that even to ourselves. I like try to have compassion for my past self, or even compassion for my future self through the feelings of the now, to like really try to dive into how I can move negative emotions to another place. And see, this is still the interesting difference to me of like, I don't know. I think about through metaphors of nature a lot. So like a leaf dying on a tree, I would classify as maybe something on the negative realm of like death. But overall, probably still a positive force, or at the very least an integral force, something that's happening for a reason, something that has a force behind it, something that has almost like a life force behind it, that there can still be negative things that lead you somewhere good. But chopping down a tree intentionally is something very different than the positive and negative flows that come to you through life, that we can become angry and resentful with the world. And sometimes when it cuts off a finger, we want to cut off our whole arm because we feel like we deserve happiness all the time. We would be miserable.
Without contrast.
Yeah. Without some level of restraint. I think the coolest way I think about this is I think about it personally with my staff, but I think you can do it even more just like any sort of art form, is there has to be a restraint, there has to be discipline, there has to be right moves and wrong moves for it to be beautiful. Like you find, even, I mean, skiing's a perfect way to say it. Like, sure, I could go down with complete freedom, doing whatever I want with my skis, and I'd probably get hurt. Or, I can play the guitar however I want to with complete freedom and be happy, but it wouldn't be beautiful as it would be if I had restraint, if I set up boundaries as to what sounded correct, what felt correct, what flowed. And that requires creating things that are wrong. Creating things that you're not supposed to do.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Right. Is there... Yeah, there's not even a reference for the flow state. If there's not its opposite. Yeah. Like a stagnation or a resistance or like it's like when people say, "Oh, wake up," it's like, yeah, and if you don't know what sleep is, you don't know what being awake is.
Boom.
It's
hard
that.
to wake up, if you don't know you're asleep.
Yes. Yeah.
It's beautiful. You be yelling "wake up" at people?
Sometimes I'm in the grocery store buying canola oil or something.
Go to them.
Or fucking posters about getting your free flu shots. Vaccinate
Flu
your
shots.
family, get it for less.
Yeah.
I want to yell at people.
You didn't get your flu shot this year?
I haven't got it for 8 years now. I haven't got the flu in 8 years.
Yeah, last time I got the flu shot, I think was middle school, and that was the year I got the worst flu ever. It's horrible. People like them though, man. Act like they work.
Well, hey, there needs
they
to
do.
be tough test subjects in nature. In science, there needs to be a control group.
Science is, yeah.
Right? There needs to be a control group.
Observe change.
Observe change. Now, do we do that in virology when virologists go to make a vaccine? Are they testing with a placebo control group?
I hope so. For science, but I don't know if it really works out because you're looking at a test period for so many years. It's
Right.
kind of hard to have a placebo for years, I feel like.
And they don't do that.
No.
Since like 1986 or something.
Really?
When it got overturned. And basically the idea was to get vaccines pushed out quicker. The
Less
belief
testing period,
in virology was that these vaccines are life-saving. Everyone bought the polio propaganda and the measles propaganda.
You don't think the polio vaccine worked? Like that's
No, I think
we're
that
trying back up.
Yeah, no, I think it is really interesting to look at when the polio outbreak actually happened in relationship to when the vaccine was rolled out.
Ooh, that's a conspiracy. I like it.
Well, there's conspiracy and there's truth. A line between the two.
Yeah.
Right. Well, while we're on conspiracies.
Yeah. What you got up the conspiracy field? It's unlimited.
Let's start getting interesting with this and maybe spark some fire on the internet here. Oh, okay, let's start. Trump's function to a spiritual seeker.
I knew you were going to say that one. That's the one that's been popping out to me this whole time. I'm very curious what you meant. What experience, if you remember, led to that thought? Trump as a spiritual seeker?
Not Trump as a spiritual seeker.
Anything in relation between Trump and spiritual seeker.
So, we see this figure.
Yes.
And just like any great figure in history, I'm not calling him great or bad or anything.
He's high up.
High up.
Important.
There are people who love this person.
Mm-hmm.
And there's people who want to nail him to a cross. And believe that a single person is responsible for how they conduct themselves in the world.
Ooh.
Something I've seen since Trump, well, obviously it's been a long time coming. He clearly has a fan base.
Close to year 10.
He won, 52% of the popular vote. More people support that lane. Barely. It's so divided where it's really interesting. But what I've seen is that basically American households and maybe even globally have made this man either into a demon or a saint of sorts.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people demonize him and, get very emotionally disturbed by who he is. But they'll be on the same side. They'll be liberal, have a lot to say about Trump. And then this Luigi Mangione, whatever his name is, snipes the CEO of United Health. And they celebrate this dude who's a murderer.
Mm.
And then they say Trump is the reason for all of their emotional despair.
Mm. It's interesting just hearing you talk about it. I'm trying to even just read based on your tone what side you support, and I feel like it kind of went back and forth, which is kind of cool. Because it is hard to, I feel like on either side of that coin, to either demonize a human being or make him into some sort of idol. I think that actually could be more dangerous if you're treating someone as if they have some sort of divine angel wings over them and that everything they do is correct, and trying to see them in that sort of way, I feel like is more dangerous than hating on them. I mean, both are just paths to blindness, I think, overall.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say, I feel like the Republican movement is kind of getting tired of the putting Trump on a pedestal, and I think there is a movement, even like within like the MAGA movement, to stop treating him like a king and to stop accepting everything he says as truth and as what we need to follow. And I do think that could work as a catalyzing force to see the dangers of how fragile our democracy really is, and to see that it is something that we all have to protect, and that one person can bring it down, which is pretty wild. To see how quickly things can start to spiral when you take someone's words as so truthful, as so evident, as something that you have to follow no matter what. That's how you get thrown out in the trenches. That's how you get trampled over. And I believe that's what we were trying to fight against to even make this country. So it is really scary to see any sort of feelings towards a president that seems to resemble how people would feel towards a king, of like either loving them or hating them or having these extremely strong emotions that we need to overthrow them, we need to get them out of here. And I feel like that's something we've tried really hard to almost get away from. And it is hard to see that creeping back up, because it does feel like a degradation towards a spiritual seeker, of seeing this separation. I feel like that is the main point, really, that Trump shows, is how separate we are, how quick we are to criticize and to see each other as less than. So I feel like, especially in a heated moment, it really got proved to us with all of the protests that all it takes is someone wearing a certain shirt, and now that person is the enemy. It's so easy to send people to war against each other without even declaring it. Like, act like this is civil. We act like this is how things are supposed to be, even though our founding fathers wrote that a two-party system would destroy our country. And we're just watching as we keep getting more and more separate from each other. And I think as a spiritual seeker, Trump's function then would be really powerful to show the extreme side of separation, which then reveals the power of the extreme side of unity. So I hope to all you spiritual seekers out there that you don't buy into one side or the other, but that you continue down the middle path and see that there would be no positive without no negative, no Republican, no liberal, without some sort of unity of love in between. So hopefully we start striving for that somewhere.
Beautiful, Logan. Thank you for that. That was amazing. And you kind of touched on what I wanted to knock at, was that Trump's a catalyst for the spiritual seeker to see division. And see that it like, we can be so firm in our beliefs about love is love, right? Right? And then we can go and want this man executed.
It's crazy.
And so if you're really a spiritual seeker, you don't love or hate Donald Trump. You see him for what he is.
Yeah.
He's a product of, he's just like one of us. He's human. He sins. He misses the mark all the time. And he's not the only one that is making all of this what it is. Let's talk about immigration. He capitalized on that for his campaign. He saw where people were frustrated. He knew where the charge was. And he said, that'll help my campaign. I see the charge. He sees the whole game, and he says, this is what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to create an identity around it, right? And immigration is so interesting in how much debate has been sparked around immigration.
A lot of different ideas.
Now, you don't have a wall without any sort of chaos or unease leading up to that moment. It's not like, let's just throw up a wall, you know? And if that was the idea, let's just throw up a wall, people wouldn't be so fired up about it. But the idea is that there's a gate, right? There's this barrier between us and
a line in the sand.
A line in the sand, right?
It's a line in the sand. It's gonna go away. You can't draw no lines. Rivers draw lines. I guess that is kind of where the line is. People running across the river.
That's right.
Rio Grande.
But it's so fascinating because, the left went to the extreme where there was no actual process of vetting, and having any sort of interaction with who's coming into the country when there was video evidence of this, of people on trains, like in the largest numbers we've ever seen coming into Texas, and you take people from a totally different culture and they come into Texas.
Texas.
They come into Texas.
Texas, baby.
They come into Colorado, they might be okay. Right? The Hispanic community in Colorado is much, well, there's probably a bunch in Texas as well. Now, but with Colorado being a blue state, whatever.
What did you think about that? Texas took these people, saw that liberal states declared themselves sanctuary states to where they would not deport you. So Texas said, okay, fine, nerds. Put them all on buses and shipped them there. No plan.
Sent them to Martha's Vineyard.
Go play. There's these other states.
If love is love, no human is illegal. Drop them on your front lawn and then tell me how you feel. Oh, no.
They were closing schools.
Not in my backyard. The NIMBYs, as they call them. Not in my backyarders. You know, they virtue hard, but then when it comes to action, you know, long story short, I don't want to get in too much of a divisive diatribe here. However, I think these issues are nuanced, and if we can see them with nuance, we can understand each other a little better. And that's what I mean, like the whole, to the point where ice is ice now, where you know, basically they're going to mine your data, they're going to go through each and every camera that they have access to, which is pretty much everything, and be able to hunt people out and say, oh, you don't support Israel, let's hunt you down, throw you in a van, and ship you out of the country. For it to get to that, it wasn't just the right. It took a whole lot of laziness on the left as well. It took a whole lot of virtue signaling without actually feeling into the issue, with drug cartels, with you know, trafficking, human trafficking. And I think that's where the passion of, you know, someone like a Border Patrol agent would ever happen, is that they've seen some things go on, right? And if we can put ourselves into that state, and if we can be a Border Patrol agent, putting ourselves into the state of a, you know, mother, an actual refugee with children trying to make a better life for their own, then I think that we would be able to work with each other more, is what I wanted to get at, and it kind of, I got excited for a second there, so forgive me.
Yeah, immigration is hard. I feel like when we're talking about it, it is pretty hypothetical, especially when you're saying like border lines. But where would you keep the border lines at all? Would you drop them completely? Would you allow people to be citizens of every nation? Would you want hard lines where no one's allowed to come across?
Yeah, where's the red
this
tape?
Awkward in between that we just try to push for, of apply for your visa and maybe we'll let you in. Take a tour. I mean, I feel like what we have now is pretty nice. I mean, obviously, it's put into effect. It just takes a lot of manpower and discernment and red tape. Just kind of silly. But I don't know. I do feel like, especially looking at maps, it's so hilarious what power we think we have to draw lines on this land as if we raised it from the ocean. I mean, there is powerful history to it. Yeah, we've fought over land for thousands of years now, and
Who is we?
human beings, potentially. Even not.
Then
even,
what are we
even
fighting?
outside of human beings. I mean, animals go to whatever form of war they have over hunting grounds, over women, over food, over water sources. I mean, things claim their territory, even if it's as small as a house, a bedroom, or a country. You're claiming your spot, your resources, And I do think that
Garden of Eden had walls, right?
only after he kicked us out. It's the only time it mentions it. He put the walls up after we are left, and a sword of fire. He used the cherubim that now surrounds the garden. So yeah, in a way, it is something sacred to be protected, and I do feel like that even transgresses into how spiritual insight and spiritual knowledge used to be treated as something very sacred and something to be protected, not to be given to anyone, that you had to go through these trials to be trusted with this knowledge. And I do think that's kind of what we're trying to do in immigration is, can I trust you? I mean, it is scary. I mean, whenever you said try to put yourself in the shoes of a border agent, I'm imagining someone stopping a human trafficking incident, someone seeing someone OD right in front of them, someone seeing people being treated in the worst of ways, and somehow having to justify that. And I feel like the justice to it is you are protecting something sacred, something that deserves defense.
Right. If we care about, this land that has raised us at all. Like, if we care about this country and these beautiful sacred spaces, being out here in the West, it's incredible, and you don't want just anyone coming in and using this land as something for, I don't know, their own benefit or just like their own way of life. We don't want Sharia, like I would say 92% of Americans, maybe 94, do not want Sharia law in America.
Yeah. If they even know what that is. Sure.
If they even know what that is. And I didn't mean to go at my Islam brothers out there. But I don't even want, and Logan might disagree, this might be fun. Damn, Scrap, how about you take a chill pill, Bubba? I don't think most of us want the 10 Commandments in school either.
Well, yeah, I'll disagree.
What percentage of America wants the 10 Commandments in schools?
What percentage of America wants their children taught not to steal? Want their children taught to respect their parents? Want their children taught not to hurt others? And even, if you bring it to the point of Jesus, not to be angry at each other. I'd say a lot. It does get interestingly controversial throughout the 10 of where do we draw the line between teaching our children morals and teaching our children indoctrination. And I do think that is a absolutely respectable fear, that I do not want my child indoctrinated into a belief at a young age where they cannot dispute it. I don't want them brainwashed. I don't want them pushed things without their own ability to ask questions about it. And I think the discussion of God promotes the most questions. And I feel like when we're trying to take God out of school to the point where we can't even say it, that's at least how I felt in school, and it's also kind of how I felt like my teachers felt, that they couldn't really get into the nitty gritty. Like, you can't really have these conversations. You can talk about the history maybe a little bit, you can maybe read some of their main beliefs, but it's all just for the research. We're taking such a big step back in education of making our children feel, I think, disconnected from God. And I think the 10 Commandments align with our beliefs / goals as a country to the point where it would make sense for them to be taught in school. Maybe it doesn't have to be, this is the 10 Commandments from the Bible, but I do think the lessons in there are lessons that I would want my child to be wrestling with. the idea of idols, the idea of what do I value so much that it gets in the way of my own self-growth. That's a deep question to ask yourself, and I think an important question to ask even a 6-year-old of, hey, I'm going to teach you how to share, and I'm going to do it by showing you how important it is to release things that you care about. And I don't know, I feel like there's so many lessons from the 10 Commandments that are just seen as senile or old, or things that we don't have to worry about anymore. You know, that's oldies stuff. That's how my grandpa lived in the 50s. Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's 2025. Who cares? And I think that creates such a morality of looseness that anything gets by. You know, anything's justifiable if it's for some greater good. Scary. But yeah, it is really hard thinking about indoctrination, because obviously Christianity has done it time and time. And
do you think the separation of church and state was important?
Do you think the separation of church and state is possible?
That's a better question.
You think you can really get people walking in to make decisions and they put their God to the side? I don't know who their God is or what they look like, or
right,
who your intentions are, what you're doing this for, what you think you are here for.
Right.
Really, you're going to take that out of the decision?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. Is like, you know, has there ever really been separation of church and state?
No.
Even people who, you know, people say, I want the separation of church and state, and then, you know, in the same breath, they just want a policy that fits their model of the universe, right? Or, like, abortion's a great topic for this, because
it gets tied up in religion.
It gets tied up in religion, and, you know, sovereignty, bodily autonomy, which is a hilarious term for me, because you're literally killing a baby in the process. And sorry, I had to. But like, it's just, there's such a contradiction in that. And your church is sexual promiscuity, and
that's your God.
That's your God, right? Is sex, and which, for the record, I think is beautiful, divine, and incredible.
Something worth defending.
Sex is something worth defending.
Absolutely.
So, can you... Yeah, okay. How do you find out what it is if you don't do it?
It's hard to answer that question without anything besides trust in the Lord. I think there are so many things we would love to experience metaphorically, and then we do, and we kind of wish someone told us not to. That we have this strange desire to learn things the hard way, because we feel like maybe it'll be different for me.
How many Christians who preach premarital sex, the sin of premarital sex, don't engage in premarital sex? Give me a number. Give me a percentage.
I did actually hear a percentage not long ago from a pastor who was talking about the percentage of women who are virgins on their wedding day, which I think is a wild statistic to even, I don't really know how you get that. I guess maybe they used to like write that down and get married somehow, some way. But apparently it was like 80% in the Christian community, if not more, just 100 years ago. And now it's like 5%.
5%. I think those numbers are really hard to actually mine.
Yeah, but I do think the 80%, 5% may be dramatic, or it may be right, and I don't think it really matters. I think it's true. Like, in terms of how different culture is.
Do you think we're too sexually promiscuous as a culture?
I don't think we know what sex is. I don't think I knew what sex was for a long time. Maybe I was doing it, but was I? No. I was toying around with it. You know, you can build the blocks, but if you don't have the blueprint for the house, you can't really make anything. Well, maybe you'll make something, but you might just want to kill it because it was an accident. So, how could this have occurred? I was just having fun. I was just having a good time. I was just feeling happy. I was just pursuing my feelings. I was just letting my balls hang loose like this guy.
Right.
Just letting it rip.
Yeah.
Because I think it is.
I really think there's only one way to find out, though, and I think you're not.
Fuck around. That's the only way.
I think fucking around is the only actual way to find out. I think that's probably where me and you are, like, in maybe like a core disagreement. Is you say trust in the Lord.
I do.
I don't think Jesus wants you trusting with blind faith.
No, he does not want blind faith.
So how do you actually clean up your awareness without pushing into the moment, without actually penetrating the moment?
When you go to clean your room, do you chuck the vacuum particles all over it first and spill your water, and then do you like destroy your dresser and throw your clothes everywhere that you already had just so you could experience fully cleaning your room?
Not typically. Not how I would do it.
So I would say that is the extreme that we're taking it to. Of, I feel like I need to figure out my own life. I don't believe anything I've been told. I need to figure it out because I know the way, even if it takes dirtying myself. I do think it's good to have a little dirt on your hands.
I was going to say, that sounds useful. There's no wisdom without foolery.
There is no wisdom without the fool, for sure. It is, your point is 100% correct. If God does, and I think life does, call you to learn through experience and to accept the fact that you're never going to do anything perfect. You're going to get muddy. You're going to mess up. You're going to trip. You're going to miss the mark. It's going to happen. But that doesn't mean you should start aiming for something else. You know, that doesn't mean you start to rewrite morality for your own self. That's what I've done, man. Like, oh, I can be sexually promiscuous because I'm caring, because I have this excuse or that excuse, because I am treating this woman with respect, because I had a bad week and I deserve to let out my emotions in some sort of way, because this is something I can repent for later. Hell, if you want to get into it. Like, we come up with excuses to create our own morality whenever we don't trust in what has been given to us, I think. But it is, I think, really cool because you should still dive into it. And I think instead of getting messier, you start to watch your life clean up. Which is pretty awesome. You don't have to worry about joining in to the dance around the fire, chasing after, kind of getting burned just for the excitement of it. You know, I feel like we are so self-addicted to our own pain. I don't know where else a depression epidemic comes from. You know,
an oppression epidemic.
Depression epidemic.
Depression epidemic.
Yeah.
From like our self-interest, like our deep self-interest, and this, you know, we're in a culture of identity, and it's like the most individualistic identity, and I see positive and negative to self-identity, right? Because you don't know yourself without other.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You know, I've always thought, you know, rejecting authority was a way to really find out who I am. To, yeah, maybe give me a little fire to work with, because the person in authority, people in authority they usually pushed against authority themselves.
Yeah. Probably push someone out or had a competitive drive to get themselves there, for sure. Which always involves kicking someone down. So that's why you feel like you don't like authorities, because they had to take it from someone? Or are you saying like the race itself makes you selfish? Because you have to kick people aside and you have to make sacrifices to be an authority. Are you an authority? You don't know.
You can't go along with what everyone else. You can't go along with belief.
Ooh.
I think if you really want wisdom.
Ooh. Where does wisdom come from? It's not belief.
Experience.
Yes. Would you say that two people could have the same experience and come out with very different wisdoms?
Yes.
Or even one with some and one with none?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe experience has something to do with it.
I think it has a lot to do with it. Because...
What experience? Is there a certain list of experiences? Do you have them written down? Is the order you need to go to collect wisdom? You have like a trial set, or maybe a list of hikes, or really good people to talk to, or is it more of who you are in the experience?
I don't know, I was too busy thinking about, I was too busy, honestly, this is where my head went, because, once we started talking, it felt debatey, so I start to get my defenses
load
going.
up your gun, man.
So my gun's loaded, and I'm
Yeah,
going to
what you got?
ask, all of this seems so great, Logan, to not involve yourself with sex before you get married.
Sex, yeah, sure.
And then, things happen like the priest in Boston where they're preaching the shit out of
Yeah, I can't
not
tell
having
anyone.
sex before marriage, and then they're fondling little boys
Sure.
and little girls, and they're taking advantage of people at the in the worst way.
Yeah.
And there was clearly something repressed. Maybe that's I don't know if that belief's correct, but the way I see it is that there was no sexual outlet.
Yeah.
They swore themselves to celibacy only to break it in the absolute most sinful way possible.
Yeah. And I think that's actually comical, because Jesus says, do not make any oaths on this earth. Do not swear anything, because that is exactly what the devil takes advantage of. The moment he hears you said that, the rest of your life just whisper in your ear. So, you gonna keep doing it? Are you still strong enough? You sure? You're gonna keep that oath? Because if not, you're a failure.
Right.
Just talking to you. That's why I think Jesus said never to take any oaths or swear upon something as if your word is stronger than God's action.
Do you believe that sex is a divine act?
Oh, absolutely. It's a gift.
Do you believe in a soulmate?
Ooh, that's a really tough Christian question, for sure. Because it's not explicit as to there being some sort of soulmate for you. And I do think versions of me would have said yes. Maybe the versions of me who thought they'd found the soulmate, or felt like that connection was something very special, which it is. I do think we're meant to meet certain people. But at the end of the day, I really strive to believe fully in free will. And I think we are offered that choice as to who we want to spend our lives with and what we want it to look like. And I think there's a lot of ways it works and a lot of ways it probably doesn't. But I do think it's beautiful that at the end of the day, Christianity promotes less of find your perfect person, and more of stick with this person even when they disappoint you, even when it's failing, even when things are really hard. The last thing you're supposed to do is run. That you have to go through these spiritual battles with this person, that you have to learn to set yourself aside and truly be there for someone else. And I think that is a really beautiful lesson as to how much we are really loved by God, that he's been willing to set himself to the side to love us, that he's been willing to enter your life regardless of where you are, that you don't have to clean yourself up for him. And I think we're always trying to clean ourselves up for other people. We're always trying to impress other people, look good for other people, especially our partners, which, yes, it's fun, but I feel like it's so dangerous to be like, I want my partner to see me as this great person, as this soulmate, as this infinite realm of happiness, you know? And I think relationships are meant for so much more than that, especially sex. And that's what really gets me, especially with my own experiences of having sex outside of a relationship, is that the only goal is physical pleasure.
Yeah.
When sex, like, physical pleasure is literally the very point of a pin to the feelings and transmutations and possibilities that can occur through whatever we want to call sex. Complicated answer, but
No, I like it. I like it. No, it's beautiful. I believe that you can find God in the eyes of another.
always looking right at you.
And it's hard to say. I think that people who have sex more, and couples probably have the most sex. Like,
Yeah, Christians
married,
have the most sex by far. Christians.
Christians?
That's actually a real study. I don't know the exact amounts, but I'd encourage maybe look it up later. But it was a survey of how many times a week married couples have sex, and especially it was over 10 years. Christian couples by far, like, not even close, had way more sex.
that's believable.
Because you're not chasing the pleasure. I feel like so many people get married today because, wow, this person just made me have the nut of my lifetime, bro. She just gave me that slurpy derpy 5,000 down there.
People get married because of the slurpy derpy 5,000. Yeah,
it's a factor. Or I mean, just the
so
they make me
interesting.
happy. They give me this pleasure. Can't chase that.
Can't chase pleasure. Well,
I think if you're living your life with discipline and if you're truly trusting in your morals, pleasure just happens like a flower blooms. It may come and go, but it's so innate and so self-happening. So I feel like you could relate this to the most. Sometimes pleasure comes from literally nowhere. Sometimes you're just hanging out with people and they just say one sort of sentence or something just clicks, and all of a sudden you're laughing and what even happened?
When you said kimchi or all of a sudden.
So
Emily said, I think, is kimchi from Vietnam? You go, I think it's from Japan. But that's just because of the way it sounds. Like, for some reason, that was the funniest shit to me possible. And I couldn't, I just was like, I'm fucking, this is awesome. Something so hilarious about this. There is... Bruh. There is a lot, thinking of Scrappy, he's always horned up. And I can tell that, if you're so horned up, and, you will chase anything to get that, try to achieve that level that you probably are in lack of, then that is, such a frustrating place to be.
Sure.
Is in that, unlimited pursuit of pleasure. Now, in the same breath, I think God has a lot to do with pleasure.
He is the crafter of pleasure.
So I have to ask you, when I say God, do you think of Jesus?
Ooh. I feel like the word God in English is pretty funny. I don't really know if it has a meaning anymore.
Mm.
But yes, if I had to create an image in my head based on the word God, I would definitely go to Jesus first. But I feel like more innately I go to divine construction of the universe, like to whatever intelligent force it is behind these things. I'd go to a creator, a designer, some word more along those lines. This is how I would translate God in English for me personally, would be the force of creation, like life force.
Now, so like you use he, you say when you speak of God, you say he. Is that too like a physical embodiment of a person? Like to me, I don't think that God has a gender.
Mm.
Right? I think that, you know.
Do the sun and the moon have gender?
In our construction of language, yes. You know.
In our construction of language, yes, but is there a reason behind it? Are there attributes?
To the moon being feminine, sun being masculine?
Yeah.
I think you can symbolize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're turning physical attributes into some sort of metaphorical way of saying, we just say he for masculinity.
Like, we say he for me. Yeah. So, I'm going to make an assertion that the reason that when people refer to God as him or he is because of Christianity. It's because of Jesus. And I think that
before Jesus, I mean, God's referred to as the Father in the Old Testament, but also it's an interesting study. I need to do a deeper dive into this, but there are over 15 different words that are all translated into Lord or Father in Old Testament Bibles that were the names of God, the most prominent being Yahweh and Elohim. Yahweh meaning I am who I am, which me personally hits my heart the hardest for who God is I am. That's it. And then Elohim being a personal God. It means like God the healer, God who comforts me, God who walks with me. And I think that is more importantly the greatest distinction between Christianity's God, Old Testament, New Testament, Jesus, Moses, through the whole thing, compared to almost any other religion, at least that I've seen, is that Christianity describes a God who is willing to walk with you. Mm-hmm. They're not something far off. They're not something that's judging you from far away, deciding if you're going to go to heaven or hell, which I know is how it's depicted a lot. But when you read the Old Testament, it truly describes a God who enters your life, who loves you just as much as he loves everything in his creation, who loves you as much as he loves the earth. And I think seeing him as a father, as putting he, as making it personal, is important. Because I do love these psychoactive / just spiritual names of God, of saying spirit or ether or force or whatever mystical name we want to use, but then that separates him in some weird way sometimes. Depends on how much I think we feel aligned with that force at the moment. And I think that's why sin as separation is so scary to people, because it's like, I don't want to feel separated from that force, or I don't even know what that means, you know, in a way. And I think pulling God close and really, like, especially when I pray, like if I feel like I'm praying to something that knows me, that sees me, that it creates such a different relationship, especially when it comes to sin. Of like, I'm not just sinning against some force or some inanimate object that doesn't feel, that doesn't really know. I'm sinning against, or I'm doing something good for the God that knows me and loves me and lives in my heart and guides me. And yeah, I do see it as a father figure, something that sets the rules, something that sets the boundaries. This is good behavior, this is maybe not so good behavior.
Now, do you think that is as useful for women?
Oh, more useful. Absolutely.
When, me and you, we can see ourselves as fathers. It is biologically aligned with who we are. It's going to be easier to have a practical image of what that looks like when we have to tend to our sons and daughters.
Yes.
For women, how does that model fit in the same way?
Because a lot of it does depend on your opinion on the role of women in society / the opinion of the role of a woman in a household, in a family. I think personally that seeing God as a father is, for a woman, very righteous and teaches a lot of reverence and respect and the ability to follow something strong and to not waver in that. I feel like when I talk to Christian women that they have such a precise vision of strength that they want in their partner. And I think ideally, as the Bible calls for, is that image to come from the image that God displays himself as, that you should look for a God-fearing, God-righteous man because you've seen it in your father, you've seen it in this God that you follow, and you know that that is what creates change, and that is what can protect you and keep you safe. I don't think a woman God inherently creates safety. And I think changing God in little ways to feel closer to us is silly. Because I do see your point of like maybe we could relate closer because we're men, but at the same time, it's a very like the group of people that that have the most challenge with God, especially Christian God, are the men that don't have good fathers, and they see this God the Father and think, "Oh, my father ain't shit. So how am I supposed to follow this other man?" So I think if anything, it's even harder sometimes for men to follow another man and to give up that level of control and that level of masculinity to a masculine force higher than you. That scares me sometimes.
Becoming more masculine scares you?
The pursuit of masculinity?
The pursuit of masculinity in itself?
What it really means to be a man.
Yeah,
what does the Bible really,
what does that mean?
God really mean?
What does that mean?
Oof. That's the $1 million question. What do you think it means?
To be a man?
Yeah.
I think to be a man...
Use all your phone's battery.
Oh, did it stop the video? Nope, still rolling. I think to be a man is to know when to act and know when not to. I do think there's a sort of order out of chaos that comes from being a man.
The ultimate man did create order out of chaos.
I think love's very important. True masculinity. To be vulnerable. I think to be vulnerable to your ego and your identity, your self-identity. To be able to overcome pain. I think this world is going to give you pain, and I think the most masculine thing you can do is to transmit that force, that negative charge, alchemize it into positive, and literally make that negative charge your bitch is part of being a man.
I honestly really like the wording of make the negative charge your bitch, because it's not disregarding it. You can't throw it away, you can't ignore it, but you do have to harness it. And even if you are harnessing it through righteous anger, I think that's completely okay. It's definitely something.
Yeah, that was another question I wanted to ask you is, can anger be sacred?
Absolutely. I think we don't have enough anger in the community that claims to love God. No matter what community that is. I think, like you said...
Was Jesus angry?
Jesus was dissatisfied with the state of being in the religious institution, in the government institution, and in the way people led their everyday lives. He was very obviously and visually upset with how people were acting and told them about it.
Right.
So
that's why he stirred up so much dust.
That's why he stirred up a lot of dust, man.
Yeah.
Made some people angry.
Yeah.
Got some responses, for sure.
He said, "This is what I see wrong with it," and everything you probably see on this is like
a lot of righteous anger.
It's a lot of righteous anger in my own purview of the world, right? Big pharma, Western medicine, Eastern, where I feel like we have sinned, where we have missed the mark and I am patriotic, like the way I think about, it's my frame of reference for how to be righteous, and sometimes I struggle with that word because I think, the word of God gets polluted so often.
The word of God. Righteous is the word of God?
Yes. Being righteous, I think people could see, that Mangione fella who killed the CEO as righteous anger because insurance companies and CEOs make so much money, and then all the people who are being insured get fucked when it comes to being taken care of. That, I think it gets really tricky when you start to say that, killing or any sort of violence is righteous. I think this is kind of what we are seeing.
Any sort of violence. That's a big statement. I don't know.
Against an animal,
I feel like obviously the hardest debate there is just any sort of self-protection, but also going out to protect your family from any sort of force coming against you. I feel like is pretty righteous violence. I don't think it's something we should desire or pursue. But I do feel like you said, we have to, as men, learn to overcome pain. I feel like we also have to learn when too much pain is enough and when it's time to make a change, regardless of what that looks like.
Right. We feel it in ourselves, right? And sometimes that first charge is really angry.
It's really angry.
We're smoking too much weed and I don't know. In some ways, our awareness is dirty, right? There's something that's nagging.
That's what you just... Smoking too much weed. Awareness is dirty.
No, I don't think that... I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think everyone should... Sometimes. But, I'm not necessarily, someone to advocate sobriety.
Be sober-minded. All things.
Be sober-minded in all things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's different than being sober.
Oh, 100%.
Especially when we talk about psychedelics.
Yeah.
How that visual field is... if something fogs your vision, marijuana has fogged my vision. It has made my awareness so low and kind of uncomfortable, and I don't feel my highest being present. It also has made a higher being present to me, a feeling of such pleasure and love for life, and just this acceptance that I couldn't, it opened up that gate. And then when I think of...
Isn't it funny that sometimes when we accept that we can't see, all of a sudden everything becomes clear? You said everything's foggy, and now that just opens up. Sorry, that was just a funny thought.
But I don't know, I know me and you have both done DMT.
Yeah.
Right, we have...
You want to?
Yes. And...
It's a good night.
For me, that was the most clear.
That was an awesome day.
My energy field never has been bursted so far open, and like simultaneously I've never felt so comfortable and accepting of my flaws and my sins, and it really gave me this it felt like a direct contact with the divine. And it's funny because they say you can never describe DMT in words, and even as I try to do it, I notice how far off I am from what actually happened. The direct experience of bursting my reality wide open into something so much more transcendent and larger than myself. Like, it was so it was like everything all at once, right? Like, it was like God was, people say they see God. They see everything all at once. They see all of this, like, input that is so beautiful, overwhelmingly beautiful, that your ego wants to make structure out of it all.
I feel like that's why God says if you see his face, you go blind. He's just so much pure light energy that you couldn't deconstruct it all. So yeah, I do feel like you were getting pretty close to seeing the full sun rays there.
Do you see that, like, I've heard people have near-death experiences and they see a room of, like, angels, right? Like, there's like, people are reporting similar near-death experiences where there's literally, like, and I think this is where the idea of the kingdom comes from with, the pearly gates, whatever. I don't know exactly what that's all about, but
from visions.
Like, there's this consensus that heaven looks a certain way.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't know if it's a question or it's just more of a rant. But it's fascinating to me that people have, like, come back with a similar vision. Not just... To me, the DMT experience it really did feel, like, weirdly personal to me in some way. Like, it felt...
I think your experience on DMT is very different than anyone else's experience on DMT. Even if you come back with similar descriptions. I think that's the glory of God. Is that somehow, some way, this thing is so complex that we can have the same experience and have a completely different reality. I don't know if I call myself sober on DMT, though.
Like, everything can change your mind. I think this is where, like, a conversation can intoxicate you, right? Like, I think that all mystics have a yearning for an intoxicant of sorts, whether that's breath work, because that's intoxicating, whether that's coffee, whether that's weed, like marijuana, or psychedelics. Like, almost every mystic, anyone who's been able to travel realms or get into alternate mind spaces that are kind of start to push at the boundaries of everyday experience, there's some sort of intoxicant, like lust for intoxication. And maybe the lust is just to change your mind, like just to get into a different state of mind, a different frequency.
It's the idea of breath work, yeah. It's to intentionally put your mind into a certain space. Ideally your own space, I feel like, into your inner world. Which I do feel like some drugs and intoxicants and even just like foods in general, anything we put in our body going to the sauna for a really long time. That'll get you intoxicated.
Fasting. Like, get you like really on this other kind of high, right? Mm-hmm. This other kind of plane.
I feel like that is really cool, though. I mean, I have the thought, I don't know, when you're talking about weed and psychedelics, of somehow implanted into the physical world are ways to break the illusions of the physical world, which I think is such a weird controversy in itself, of how can we as human beings pursue something earthly like smoking weed or doing peyote or smoking DMT or even doing something as simple as breath work, which is so grounded, so earthly at its form, could then transcend us into something where all the borders disappear. I think that's really cool, of just seeing how God integrated his infiniteness into so many things,
right?
Many things.
Yeah, I think
incredible amounts of things.
I think that could be part of my own shit, is like, I'm chasing an experience when the experience is right in front of me. Like, it is right here, right now, and everything I'm doing, between just the conversation we're having, or petting Scrappy, or, talking about all these different things, like, it is so psychedelic in its nature. Reality in itself is so psychedelic, and which translates to mind manifesting, right? Like, your mind is manifesting the reality that is before you. And that inner world is what you are seeing on this projector screen.
What do you believe personally about manifestation? From your own experience and from what you've researched?
I think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
I love that you asked me this.
Thank you.
I think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
I think and this is me just fucking like copy pasting other ideas in like someone else's perspective. This guy, his name's Soul of Jarrett, and he's kind of like this psychedelic wanderer who goes into different tribes, and he lives a very like intuitive experience in the world. And he's like, you need to stop manifesting. You need to come to terms with reality. All is Ram. It's like Ram Das, all is God. Like, right? So like, if you don't need to manifest when you're aligned. It's all right here. Everything you could ever possibly want. When you can surrender to God, when you can have that full experience right here, manifesting is desire. It is, in some ways, it's a sin. Like, in some ways, it's missing the mark because you're not present. You think you need something in the future for your direct experience of God, which is right now. So that's how I feel about manifesting. I think it's
How real do you think it is? Because I find it interesting hearing people's stories of like, oh, I imagined so vividly I had this car, and I sat in it, and I did all the manifestation tools, I pretended to drive it, I really felt it, and it works.
Yeah.
I find that
is fascinating.
Very strange.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work.
I think
it's an illusion. I don't know.
If you visualize yourself making a basket, are you gonna make your chances are better?
Here's what
I've heard of this.
The main study that really threw me off, because this I feel like is so directly, like, there's so few steps in between and so easily measurable. They had two groups of people. One group of people did 30 curls every day for like 2 months or something. The other group of people just thought about it. They sat on the couch and they visualized doing curls. And then they had a control group who just did nothing. The people who just thought about it, their muscles grew to about 50% of the level that the people who actually did the workout. Their muscles physically changed.
Yeah.
And my favorite example to do is, if you ever want to do it, is you're standing up, you point your finger as far as you can twist, and then you sit and you imagine yourself as an owl for a minute straight that you can twist all the way around. I've done this so many times, it's so fun. And then you go for it again, and without fail, you get like another foot of twisting. It's ridiculous. Makes no sense. But it does.
Yeah.
But I just don't know.
I think you can manifest it when you're aligned, you know, like
Yeah.
when you're aligned with that. I think
It's dangerous.
I think visualization can be very powerful. And I think, yeah, manifesting your life, I think you probably can. You can.
Are you doing anything else?
Are you doing anything else?
Are you doing anything else?
When are you not manifesting?
Yeah.
Whether that's pain or joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are the antenna for that frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are the antenna for joy. You are the antenna for sadness. You get to tune your radio dial how you like. Whether that's being super abundant and like having all of these pleasures and everything you ever wanted sexually or materialistically, or whether that's being a yogi, whether that's being a monk and like living a renunciated life that has came through your awareness and you have decided, all right, let's try this one. Let's try it this way. And you are an experiment of your own desire. And I think that people's desire is unique. Like to me, my desire is to have like curious, fascinating conversations with people. This is being manifested as we sit here in front of this camera.
This would have not happened without desire.
It would have not happened without desire.
No. Or manifestation. You wrote this down.
I wrote this down, right? So yeah, so maybe
Sounds like you're getting dangerous.
Maybe I'm getting dangerous.
That's what you said.
And I've always liked danger in some sense. Like, I like to sniff it. Like, of course I don't want to be hurt. But at the same time, you know, I want to kiss the fire and walk away whistling.
Me too. I do. It is scary though sometimes. Because I feel like I do agree with statements like the devil makes his gel cells very comfortable, very enticing, and that the door may appear open to walk away whistling, but one day it might close.
Unless your faith is real strong. I think if you sense your faith, then it's a lot harder to be. I think that allows you to operate within danger. Faith is like the thing that can drive you as close to the fire and feel that heat and enjoy that heat, right?
I do think that faith is our main creation force, and I think it is silly how much the words faith and belief get tied up into each other. I love how much Jordan Peterson has been trying to express this to people, of that faith without action is dead. And that is very clear in the Bible, of that faith is something that is revealed through your fruits. It is revealed through what you produce with your life. That is your faith.
Say that one more time for the people in the back.
That your faith is revealed through the fruits of your life, through what you produce, through what you are useful for, how you respond when you are squeezed, when the juices come out.
Ooh.
That's your faith.
Whatever's inside will come out when it is squeezed.
Yes. And I do think faith is a very powerful force towards creation, of what you're saying, to go kiss the fire, to go get involved with the world. I do think we are called to better our surroundings in any way that we can. But what goes through my mind in terms of how much do I really want to dance with the world is I go to the temptation of Jesus. Right after he's baptized, he's led out in the forest. He's fasted for 40 days, and the devil offers him everything. He offers him the kingdoms of the world. And I feel like through this line of thinking, you would say, okay, maybe you take it for the greater good. Maybe you indulge with this power because you could make it better. But Jesus says, no, I will only worship the Lord our my God. He says, man does not live by bread alone. He says that God's words are faithful forever, and that there's nothing that we have to do other than worship him, other than hear him and respond. So I do feel like it is just that really weird in-between of, we are literally images of God. We have this so much creation for us. We have the ability to change. And at the same time, we have to accept that we are insignificant and that there is something much higher than us and that we don't know everything. And it's such a crazy narrow path to try and walk along. And I think that's why it's so beautiful that Jesus offers a helping hand and a God that is willing to walk through the fire with you and to give you balance.
Yes.
But it's hard. So there's so many things calling for our attention. There's so many things asking us to give it a taste. Just give it a little try. See if you like it. Just one more scroll. Just one more video.
Oh, that'll
one
do it.
more bite of cake.
That's going to do it.
One more log on the fire, man.
It's going to give me everlasting peace.
Everlasting peace.
Know it.
That's what I think.
I think it all the time.
Sometimes it goes through my head.
Next video is the one.
It'll be the one.
Next reel on Instagram is going to enlighten me to no degree.
Maybe it will for 2 seconds. And that's it. It's fleeting. Locked in this chain, in this jail cell. Kissing the fire.
Yeah. And we need that. And some part of us needs that. Right? We can't just be, we can't be anything, but I don't know, we can't just be totally renunciate. Like, I don't know people who are like that. I don't know people who don't work their energy in different ways and through different either substances or through your ego has a million things to attach to.
But how many of those things are going to hold on back?
A few, maybe a relationship, maybe
Another person,
and you gotta realize, you gotta see them as human. That's the best way to do a relationship. Is know that they're not going to be everything you want them to be.
Yeah.
And that there's a lot of freedom in that.
Wow. Can you accept that God might not be everything you want him to be?
That's my experience.
Yes.
That's my experience. I'm constantly let down, like, to be totally honest with you. And I see and in another way, I see where it's perfect. Like, I see where the struggle is perfect.
It's perfect.
It's,
It's perfect because luckily the world isn't centered around me.
Yeah. That's right.
Luckily.
That's right, man. Luckily the world isn't circled around. How much pressure would that be? I don't envy being Trump or fucking Jesus or anyone.
I wouldn't
lot of
envy
the time.
Jesus, no. I
Oh.
think it's funny how much envy is put towards Jesus.
Yeah.
He didn't live a very envious life.
No.
The Son of Man did not come
No.
to be served, but to serve.
Who does live an envious life? Can you think of a celebrity? Like, usually it's celebrities, right? Like that
People
people.
that want to live like them. Like, I wish I was like them.
Yeah, I wish I was Brad Pitt or Matthew McConaughey or fucking Joe Rogan or something.
Yeah. I feel like it is good to have something to strive towards or someone to
Yeah.
embody in a way or form. Like, for
Yeah.
me, I feel like growing up, it was the basketball players I kind of worshipped. My dad really loved basketball. He kind of put it into me that I was going to be something through basketball.
Yeah.
I think that was good. Like, one thing that I walk away from basketball is one of Michael Jordan's most famous quotes of, I've missed 100 game-winning shots when I've been trusted. I've failed over and over and over again. And that is why I succeed. Because of the willingness to fail. Or like Wayne Gretzky's quotes, if you miss 100% of the shots you can't take. That it's good to like take these lessons from people, but it's different to be like, my life isn't good enough until I'm better than Michael Jordan at basketball. That'd be a much different approach.
Can't catch a fish without your line in the water.
I'm getting there. One day. Dunking on fools.
That's why, that's faith. That's faith is willingness to fail a lot of the time, right? Yeah.
Sometimes the answer's no.
Sometimes the answer's no. Yeah. And feeling that can be very catalyzing a lot of times. To really feel it, like to get into your heart and be like, oh fuck, like I didn't do that right. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have. I should have turned right, but I turned left. It's like a million of those things, and it's you naturally as a person are a pattern recognizer. You don't have to try. You will, if you keep your eyes open, you will see, and you'll make iterations from that. I'm gonna go, oh, that gas station, they're selling gas for $2.90, and up the road they sell it for $2.70. Like all these funny little things that we pick up on as we go through our day to day without even being conscious. You don't have to like be conscious about it. It will just appear, especially when you find that like deeper frequency, that deeper flow in your life. Then you can trust so much more, and then you can give so much more glory to God. You can give so much more glory to this beautiful place and all the beauty in the world when you're not so, I don't know, when you're not resisting that everlasting flow that's within and that's always working through you, whether you even believe in it or not.
Oh, that reminds me of a funny story I heard a pastor say once about an old lady who was out of food and sat in her kitchen every day praying to God, hoping that he would provide her with food. And one day she came home from work and there was grocery bags of food sitting on her doorstep, and she prayed out, thanking God with everything she had. And her neighbor comes up and says, "Ha, I got you. I've listened to you praying to God every day for food. It was not him, it was me." And she looks at him and goes, "Thank you, Lord, for using even the devil to feed me."
Oh.
For God uses all things for his goodness.
Even the devil.
Even the devil.
This is this necessary evil I was hinting at. This is,
Show just how beautiful he is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, because it's eternal. It's like, I think that's, it's so hard to communicate sometimes, but like, I get fired up with the vaccines and the cloud seeding and the transgender and then
The cloud seeding is getting you going recently.
Cloud seeding's been another one. If you guys didn't know, many governments, whether that's state or federal or the United Nations, the UK, you can look up solar dimming in the UK if you're curious about it. We know that there are heavy metals being sprayed into our sky for multiple reasons. Something around here is for water retention. So taking water, extracting it out of Mother Nature and placing it into certain pockets of the environment. That gets me fired up because this is not trusting in something as intelligent as Mother Nature. That
I think it's interesting though, because you are playing with a line of control. Is it not trusting nature to build a house? Is it not trusting the
great
rain
question.
to fill up barrels of water? Is it not trusting God to fill your barns full of wheat? It's a question Jesus asked. The sparrows do not put away their food. They do not have garments to clothe themselves, yet the Lord your God feeds them, cares for them, provides their every need. How much more will he care for you? So where is that level of control? How much are we supposed to play? Are we supposed to be stewards of nature? Are we supposed to be the gardeners in the garden? That's kind of where I've mostly been in my life, that I feel like human beings were given this almost stewardship over the land, and that it is almost our judgment how we treat it.
Okay.
Whether we make it better or worse. But it is hard because there are points where it's like, how much can we really control?
Right.
We do change things. I mean, that just went through my head because you said moving the water supply, and I was like, well, we've been rediverting rivers, building dams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Time.
That's the thing. I've never felt like that is. I feel like that is such a. That's humans stroking their own dick in such an interesting way.
Okay, building a dam.
Yeah, building a dam.
What about the place where dams come from? Originally, dams were built to power water wheels, to power the woodworking or iron machinery that then built a town and pushed society forward. Is that wrong?
What's forward? Is
More
less
people-
salmon in the rivers and less of a natural food supply? Is that pushing forward?
No.
Is artificially lighting every home in all of Denver moving forward when we can no longer can see the Milky Way or the stars or like this beautiful creation that was already set out before us? Is that moving forward?
Yes.
Because
100%.
like light pollution is still moving forward because now we have
I'd rather light up the darkness than pretend it's not there.
light up the darkness and pretend it's not there.
I feel like with
Okay.
the evolution of technology particularly, but more importantly, our relationship to that technology truly shows us our potential for good or evil. Even just something as simple as the sword. You now have so much more potential for good, to protect, to keep safe, but you now also have so much more potential to do wrong, to kill, to be unjust, to take lordship over your power. Imagine how much that amplifies to something like this phone recording us right now.
Sure.
You have so much potential power in your hand. We have the potential power to turn off the lights. The lights are not in charge. So for us to say that avoiding the lights is better, I feel like is such a self-criticism of how stupid we think we are. We don't have the competence to turn off the lights when there's too many. That doesn't mean we should destroy them.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah. That's beautiful. You're so right. And like I noticed this in Frisco yesterday. I'm like, wow, I feel like people shut their lights off. You know, I feel like they have the lights. It's there for your use. We're using one right now to light us up, right? And we wouldn't be able to be visually here to the camera if it wasn't for this light.
It'd be pitch black.
It'd be pitch black.
I know.
So I love that rebuttal of sorts, and at the same time, no, I love that. I love that very statement of it is not giving us enough. I don't know. It's like fire, right? Fire has the ability to do so much, and for good or for evil, and it's how we use it. And that is almost like anything in our every tool. This gun right here.
I was
like,
about to say, you blame the gun or you blame the child? I don't know. This thing right here is a tool.
This is a tool, folks.
Not good or evil.
Does a hammer build a house or does a person?
I've never once seen a tornado sweep through and collect all the construction equipment and build a house. No, I haven't. Only destroy it.
So, speaking to our Second Amendment here, we're probably going to run out of battery at some point here. But I think it's all fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm going to, change my belief on this maybe once or twice in my life. But where I'm at right now is that a gun is a tool. It doesn't pull the trigger for itself. Right? I mean, every technological advancement is dangerous. It has the potential for evil. And it has the potential for goodness. When you think of something like the nuclear bomb, it's like...
I thought the nuclear bomb is literally the best example. The pinnacle of science at our point, splitting an atom. What an incredible feat by human beings. And what this feat opened was two realms. Unlimited power for everyone, or the end of the world. Basically the two options. You either we come together in peace with the nukes, we create power for ourselves, or we blow each other up with the bombs.
Right. Huh.
It's a pretty crazy example.
No, it's a beautiful example.
Great.
And when we talk about the Second Amendment, folks, I something that kind of fucking fired me up is when people were getting on Charlie Kirk after his assassination for defending the Second Amendment and now blaming that his ideology of the Second Amendment and guns is the very thing that got him killed. Can we fucking snap into it, folks, for a minute? Does that not sound fucking incredibly insane to you guys?
I think it's right, though, in a way, that it isn't like if there weren't guns, he would have been killed, but more of the fact that he was killed because he was willing to stand up for something. Not because he was willing to stand up for guns. In my defense, in my opinion, it's because he was willing to stand up for Jesus and willing to stand up for allowing God back into our political realm. But it shows you that, when you're willing to stand up for something, the world will try and tear you down. That a true follower is hated by the world. That someone who's on the path, everyone who is off of it wants more than anything to push you, to tear you down, to at least tempt you away. And worst comes to worst, they'll put a bullet through your neck. But
because they believe something different than you.
They believe something different.
They were never... Charlie Kirk was never gonna physically harm his killer. There was no actual threat to his killer. And that's where I think righteousness gets really dangerous, Logan. Is because his killer believed that he was the good guy. And this is where righteousness is dangerous, is that all...
To be self-righteous.
Yeah. And all of us are self-righteous in some way. Even if you are defending Christianity, it's for your own identification with Christianity.
True. I would argue, though, that Christianity pushes the believer almost to be self-degrading. There's so many passages, especially through the Psalms, where David is saying, I am so little, I am so weak, I am nothing before you. My enemies are trampling over me, and all I have for rest is you. That I cannot overcome this on my own. I do not know the ways. I lean not on my own understanding. I trust in the hands of the maker of heaven. I feel like a true follower of God, regardless of the religion, understands that there is so much more to be righteous of beyond yourself.
Yeah.
But it is dangerous to believe your ideas are so right that you're not even willing to listen to anything else. I think that is pushing righteousness to pride. You are so prideful in your own ability to create opinions that you think your opinion is so right that you can kill someone over it. That's a crazy amount of pride.
That's a crazy amount of pride. And, you know, I think that's kind of what's going on in the Middle East. To be frank as can be, is like,
that's what they teach.
You know, I think that's what, is that not what Judaism teaches, and same with Islam. I mean, I'm not trying to compare religion. I think it's, maybe I am trying to compare religion. I have to be honest. Like,
It's the main thing to compare.
It is an interesting thing to compare, is religion, and where people's, you know, full faith is carried into. And I see flaws in Judaism, and I see it in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, you name it. I see a flaw in it, and I think it's good to question. You know, I think that's, you know, actually having faith is being able to go against, like, question even your own religion and what has made you comfortable to this point in your faith in something. To question that, to be like, do I really, truly, in my heart and my soul, believe this to be truth? Because truth is slippery. Everyone claims to have it. The Jews claim to have it, and the Arabs and the Islams. I shouldn't have said Arabs. That was not phonetic.
What about the atheist?
The atheist, the Arab, the Jew,
What's that for?
the Bible thumper. Are they really asking themselves what they believe? Or are they copy and pasting? Are they memorizing a passage and not living it? I do that. I mean, I say things all the time that are not, like, I miss the mark on my own inspiration and my own, you know, where I want to be to where I am right now.
How does that feel?
It, you know, hurts.
That's the word I was going to say.
It hurts. But I think that, you know, it's interesting when we look at, you know, what has been taught through religion, what's going on in the Middle East. Like, these people are dying for their religion, and it is causing so much more chaos and missing the mark so hard that it's, like, unbelievable, the blindness that, you know, they don't see. I don't know what I meant to say there. But I think even in our own country, with our support for Israel in this case, and I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this business at all, but I think that, you know, we kill in the name of God. You know, our government does it, and every government that I've ever known in history. Is there a government that doesn't do it?
The ones that muddled along.
What do you mean by that?
The governments that didn't feel the need to fully control its citizens.
Do we have any shining examples of that?
I mean, not in recent history.
Do you think that government might even be predicated on control and manipulation of power?
I feel like the idea of government is manipulation of power.
Yes.
In a positive way of how can you take the total amount of power, resources, energy, people, and distribute them properly. I feel like that is the ideal, or I mean, I feel like the original idea of what government was even supposed to be. Someone to divide the powers, someone to manipulate the society in a way that ideally is the most efficient. But of course, every single human being is selfish and will make every little tiny twist they can to make it better for them. But that's what we see. And that no matter how hard we keep trying to change the government, change the people, change the systems, change, revolution, that it's the same inherent fact that human beings will, when left unchecked, not treat others the way they want to be treated.
So do you think that's what the idea of maybe like the Second Amendment is?
Yes.
So to circle, because I kept the gun in my hand.
Can't trust these people.
I kept the gun in my hand the whole time because I remembered that there was some sort of ground I wanted to stand on here.
Go shoot your guns, y'all.
And if
good for you.
If you I think that if you're against the Second Amendment, what you're really for is more government control, and I hate to be so binary about that, or binary, whatever the fuck the word is, but I'm trying to figure that out. I think that you're not really thinking critically about what would happen there. And what would happen, in my purview of it, is that you take away the guns from the people, and now only military and police state have guns. And so for criminals, black market, so there is collateral damage to the Second Amendment. There's collateral damage to all of our freedom. Freedom without responsibility is chaos. Freedom with responsibility is liberation. I don't know, it sounded good, so let's be honest.
But it's funny, I feel like people are chasing two types of freedom, chaos or liberation.
I've chased the chaos one.
Yeah.
In my own life, and I know where it ends up, And
pretty shallow.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but it's a good start sometimes to embrace it. It's why people respect criminals sometimes more than they respect someone who's not doing anything at all.
Oh. Yeah.
It's because they're in some ways willing to play the game. But I pray for my words to be healing. I think that I drift into chaos quite a bit in my own mind. I think it's a naturally kind of a firestorm up there, and I also want to, make amends with my own heart to say that I do want. I don't know what I want. I want to alleviate suffering. I want myself, like, honestly, I'm selfish. I want myself to feel good, and I know that making other people feel good around me is going to make me feel better. If I can be as honest as possible, is that selfishly, I want everyone in my life to feel good and to have a full experience of life.
I think you want everyone to take responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's why I get fired up on government.
Yeah.
And like all these things we're looking at with fucking elitism, ADHD. I mean, there's like all these things that I'm curious about. Like, I want people to start. I want myself to be responsible, and I want like us as a collective to be responsible for each other and not have to look to an idol. I think that's what it is. It's like back to this, to this fundamental core tenet of like, don't worship idols.
Don't worship idols.
Is if you're not like worship your own intuition, if anything. Like, try to discern things for yourself and like
Worship philosophy.
Yeah. Worship philosophy. You know, you got to try different things out. You can't, like, and this is probably why I don't want, this is, you know, back to our premarital sex debate. I want people to be responsible about, you know, even though, like, I think me and you probably slightly disagree on sexual promiscuity. I think that you can be sexually promiscuous if you're being 100% responsible for it.
Are you having sex with yourself?
What's that?
Are you having sex with yourself?
No, that's a good point.
Can I be 100% responsible for you?
You can only be 50% responsible in a relationship, right?
I feel like I'm about as responsible for who you are as responsible I am for this tree growing. I hope I'm a part of it somehow, some way, but I can't claim any responsibility.
Right.
Over you, what you do, how you react.
Okay, all right, so now we're knocking at something a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going out to the bar and my goal is to, like, take home a girl and have sex with her, how's that making the girl feel? How do I know that she doesn't want a, you know, relationship? Or how do I know that...
You do.
Right. So, you know, otherwise you're starting to play some sort of power game, and you're not really fully in your heart there. And I don't know. I don't feel like I want to be a voice of authority for keeping people out of the bedroom. Because honestly, I think the charge to go and have sex is like, drives a lot of things. It's motivating in a lot of ways to make yourself better sometimes, maybe even to, like, sure. We're talking about health. Like, yeah. If your health matters at all, like, that has something to do with, what would you say? What's the word? Like, reproduction?
Passing along your hard work.
Whatever things that you know.
It's amazing to me how many people are out here fucking that can't even see their dick. They're so fat. It blows my mind. So I don't see them being too motivated.
But they're not usually the ones fucking as much, probably.
What percentage of America is obese?
What percentage of America is having sex?
Man, probably not that much.
Not that much, dude. This is what I'm saying. Should we encourage people away from this thing? Especially with, like, I don't know. Let me go. I'm just going to go.
Go ahead.
Birth rates are declining in 52% of, you know, I don't know what the fuck is that. Yeah, the pill abortion. I mean, so many things, right? And
we do a really good job with vaccines, birth control, and healthcare. We can reduce the population in the next 10 years.
That's a direct quote, ladies and gentlemen.
Bill Gates.
Billy Bob Gates.
See, I feel like
we've been indoctrinated to believe that fucking having children is horrible and that this world is getting overpopulated.
Yes. But I feel like the sexual healthcare system promotes having sex.
Oh, precisely.
Okay.
So Planned Parenthood,
if you disalign with Planned Parenthood, how do you align with
sexual
promoting having sex?
Because I promote, I guess I still am more on the train of free will.
Okay.
On this one, and that's kind of what segued into this, was that idea of free will. Like, if you don't hold another man to your authority, then you have to figure things out for yourself. If you actually hold God as your authority, and I don't think we're meant to fear God. I think we're meant to love God with all of our hearts. That could be an interesting conversation, but I think if you really do love God with all your hearts, you will, you take you take your conscience, not what the world's telling you, because the world could be telling you that jabbing a vaccine into your arm with experimental chemicals that ultimately has way farther more negative effects on your body than positive that could be what the current zeitgeist is, right? And that's to the point where we're wearing masks and we're not seeing each other, and that's psychological operation from man. And if you don't have faith and give yourself any authority, then ultimately you're just going to get swept up in that, and you are going to become someone who ultimately isn't living their full fuck yes experience that they could be having.
Okay, let me give you one thing to chew on with that. Because
Yeah.
I believe totally that free will is the most important aspect. And I like that you're building off of this. But let me ask you this. Does true free will and true living your full fuck yes life come from saying yes or from saying no?
Both.
Okay. How free-willed of a creature am I by saying yes to my lustful desires, saying yes to my hormones that say go have sex with this woman? Am I being more or less free-willed to say yes? Or do you have the mental competency to recognize the situation and come outside of myself, outside of my bodily autonomy, outside of my desire for pleasure, and say no? I think the same thing could go for
Why are
any
you
sort of social
identifying
pressure.
outside of your body?
I'm identifying with something higher than my innate feelings and bodily responses to the environment.
Is there not God packaged within that as well?
Yes, and I think God's package within that is giving you the opportunity to say yes or no. Because as other animals, other beings that we experience, they simply react to their instincts, regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
I think our ability to fully claim free will is our ability to say no to what feels right. I think without that, we don't have free will. All we are is subjects to our firing in our brain, which I think is an atheist argument that I disagree with because of free will, that we do not always respond to our environment with what our initial reaction is or what our innate primal reaction would be. That we can go outside of our dick for 2 seconds, sometimes 3 seconds if I'm really trying hard.
It's a lot of work.
So hard. And say no.
Yeah. I mean, I think so.
Just food.
Yes. Yeah. I'll chew
I don't
on
think
that.
there is no
Let me
perfect
chew on
answer.
that.
Yeah,
There's no perfect answer because, again, a relationship is 2 people. It's not one. And sex, I mean, unless you're rubbing it yourself, which, I mean, is that sex? I don't know. I think it is sex in a way. And then where's the line? Where's the line, dude?
Between.
What is sex? Like,
I love that.
penetration? Is that it? Is that sex?
No.
Touching my leg? Is that sex? Like, it certainly leads to that a lot of maybe often.
I feel
Or
like
how about the words? How about when you say, "Oh, hey baby," with a little tone?
sexual?
Is that sex? Like,
Sexual.
like it starts with the word. It starts in it's indescribable where it starts because
It's the gleam in your father's eye.
the gleam in your father's eye.
That's you.
That's right.
That's where you started,
That's
man.
right. And thank God for that.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for sex. All right. Honestly, and I think that
See, this is where I come back to for why sex can only be in marriage. Because I feel like when you break it down, sex is, man, this is hard to accept, but I think it's true. the consummation of marriage. Saying, I am willing to become one with another. I think if you strip away the pleasures, you strip away who's touching who, you're stripping away what fuck toy you got in your closet, that at the end of the day, real sex is looking at another person and saying, I am willing to mold with you. And I hope that that goes from something physical into something spiritual, into a relationship, into a deeper molding of hearts. But that it does begin on a physical level of literally becoming one being. I think that is the beauty of metaphor of the consummation of marriage.
That's the idea of like there being a third being. Like it's like there's you, your partner, and then there's the third being of love that you create together. And through that, there's a lot that is so like possible. I mean, you feel the power. I mean, you can feel it. You know, it's divine with like. You know, I'm a straight man, so forgive me, but you feel that as a man with a woman because of the contrast of the masculine and the feminine. Like it is such a beautiful union between those two forces, and you feel your masculinity through the femininity, and when that is being honored, and you know, I do think like it's as well in platonic relationships there is that third, like when we're talking here today, there's obviously a deep level of love and respect, and we've gotten to this point where this conversation can be where it's at, you know. And I mean, we kind of struck it off like from the jump. I remember, you know, smoking weed with Paul. First night, Paul. And it was, and we were just like, dude, and we got right into it. And I remember feeling that I felt like I was meeting God and you, and like. It was such a beautiful experience for me, even though your beliefs were different than mine. I was actually able to see a Christian who had, like,